For those of you who follow the Super Mario series, you'll be glad to know Super Mario 4, called Super Mario World, is now on the shelves. But as Deborah Snell found out, you might not like what you hear when you go to buy the game.
As a kid in 1991, there wasn't much else you were screaming for Christmas. You wanted, no, you needed, the follow-up to the very first Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. This wasn't the same Nintendo you've been playing with a prettier color. This was a Nintendo that was super, and that made it radical and a must-have. You also knew it meant games for your old Nintendo were going the way of the dodo bird. Any new Nintendo game that was being made to be played on the Super Nintendo. Anyone that didn't get it was a total loser. Although you wanted one, the kid across the street wanted one. And the cool kid down the road, well, he wanted a Sega for some reason. But you and all your friends wanted the Super Nintendo. But there was one group of people that really didn't want you to have it. No, I don't mean the designers of that already released TurboGrafx 16. I mean parents. Yeah, that's right. Those nasty naysayers were back again, telling you what you could or couldn't have as a gift. In the 1960s, they tried to take away your comic books. In the 70s, they told you the devil was inside the music you loved. In the 80s, they wanted to ban that role-playing game you played just for fun. And now it was in the 90s, and they wanted to ruin your video game fun. Sorry, Mom and Dad. Well, mostly moms, let's be honest. This was the 90s. The 8-bit days of the 80s were over. The Super Nintendo first hit the Japanese market as a Super Falcon, but a limited stock of Super Nintendos was scheduled to hit the US in August of 1991, and Nintendo promised it would be fully stocked in stores by September. Kids couldn't wait. After all, they had been sold for almost a year the talents of the Super Nintendo. They saw the previews of the upcoming game in Nintendo Power. They had been told for months this would make your 8-bit Nintendo seem like a 70s Pong system. If there was a boy around the age of 12, Nintendo was in his ear, telling him that the Super Nintendo was not only fun, it was cool, and playing it made you cool, like the Power Glove a few years before. Even the kids became Nintendo salesmen without even knowing it. Kids would go to school and repeat the promises they had read in Nintendo Power to the other kids. Those other kids would then tell the other kids, and the other kids would tell other kids.
They say it has 16-bit technology, whatever that means.
Oh, I see. What else do they say?
That it has 3D graphics and digital stereo sound, and that Super Mario World is included.
Okay, we'll get it for them. So,
it was a massive build-up to what we all knew in 1991 would be the greatest machine ever released. We wanted it. We needed it. The Super Nintendo. So what was the issue with this 16-bit superhero with no cape? What did parents, mostly middle-class white mothers, find so upsetting? Well, the Fresh Prince did warn us. Parents just don't understand. And damn, they sure didn't understand the Super Nintendo. Kids got told, you already got that Nindumi machine. Or they would say, 8-bit, 16-bit, it's all just a scam bit. And you would even hear, I'm not buying you something you already got to play games you already got. You don't need that. You need some Sunday shoes is what you need. Damn, Fresh Prince, you are right. Parents were even taking it to the local news.
Some parents are refusing to be taken in.
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to explain to him how people market things to make you spend more money.
They were not falling for the scam like us dumb kids were. But it wasn't that they just needed to buy yet another system to play yet another Mario game that upset the housewives. It was the cost of it all. Parents had already spent in the last few years $40 to $50 for each video game, not counting the hundreds of dollars for the Nintendo system itself, plus those super controllers that little Timmy just had to have, or that hacking genie to help him beat every game. Parents were not about to box all that up and start all over again.
Why can't you just buy the cassette?
Because it doesn't play in the regular one. You have to buy the super unit.
Who's doing that?
Why couldn't they make the new one play the old games my son has? One soccer minivan mom asked. Parents just couldn't see that this was like having a car from the 1920s and asking for a muscle car of the 1960s.
He has a Game Boy, and now he has the Nintendo, and now he'd have to have another unit just for that one game. It doesn't seem right.
However, some parents did understand. They understand Nintendo was just trying to make money. What nerve.
At $200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system, and you can't mix and match. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventures.
Had Nintendo gone too far this time?
Nintendo has introduced some hot new toys. But have things gone a bit too far?
The local news asked that question, and to many parents, they had.
Does this really have to cost this much? Where should the anger be directed? Not at the parents, but at the manufacturer.
So it has come to this. Therapy sessions for families whom you could call Nintendependent.
First of all, the peer pressure starts. I feel maybe exploited.
But it wasn't really Nintendo's fault. The 8-bit look was a snowball rolling down a hill, headed for a hot 16-bit lava pit. Designers, the game makers, they were moving on. 8-bit was over. TurboGrafx-16, Sega Genesis, these systems were already on the market with a 16-bit system and making Nintendo look like an ancient video game machine. Nintendo had to move fast. Upsetting parents or not, they had to carry on. They had to do it for us, the Nintendo players. Almost a decade earlier, the Atari 2600 was in everyone's home. But when it upgraded to the 5200, for the most part, it went unnoticed. Most kids had moved on from Atari by that time, but this Nintendo upgrade came when the Nintendo Entertainment System was still very popular. It was the first time parents really had to deal with upgrading a video game system, something that's common today. Parents, kids, even grandma knows that a new game system will be obsolete in 4 to 5 years. A lot of parents still never really understood the reason to upgrade, even when they had the help of a genius local news reporter trying to explain the difference.
Some of the new games look like updated takes on fairly well-known formats. In the racing game of F-Zero, you're in a futuristic race car. Oh, I guess I should watch where I'm driving instead of talking. The 3D effect, as you can see, is pretty good by video game standards. There's a nice clear stretch, even if I am in reverse. Let's see if we can't turn the car around right about now. If you're a real good player, meaning you've got the skill of a 9 or 10-year-old, you can even try to jump your car.
Damn, that's cringy. But the parents lost the fight. Sure, the parents swore they would never upgrade. They swore they wouldn't fall for the scam. But the Super Nintendo will be one of the hottest selling toys of 1991 and will continue to break sales records the following years.
We had a lot of requests for it before it came in, and we had a list waiting for them. So when it came in, they were all sold. We sold 28 in 2 days.
That wasn't until 1996 when parents were told, you're going to have to upgrade again to the new all-powerful 64-bit Nintendo 64. That was almost 4 times the bit. Wait a second, before I end this video, let's look back at 2 of those news clips.
Workman admits while people were turning upside down for the new Super Nintendo system at first, the craze has slowed down a bit.
Come out with a new set of electronic video games. At $200.
Did they just give away the ending to Super Mario World with no spoiler alerts? Well, let me know. Were your parents upset when you told them you wanted to upgrade to the Super Nintendo? Did your parents hold their ground and not get you one? If so, I'm sorry. It was a great system. Let me know that and more in the comments below. And thumb up so you like my content. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
I saved up with my allowance.
You saved up $200 by yourself.
Yeah, I had to do extra work around the house. I was going to get it, but I don't want to spend that much money.
Deborah Snell, Channel 9 News.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.